Hello and welcome back. So today's lesson we're going to talk about the introduction to AWS. So what are web services? Basically, a web services is any piece of software that makes itself available over the internet or on a private networks. A web service uses a standardized format such as XML or the JSON for the request and the response of an application programming interface or the API interaction. It is not tied to any operating system or programming language. It's self-describing via an interface definition file and it is discoverable. Next, what is AWS? AWS is one of the cloud provider that is a secure cloud platform that offers a broad set of global and cloud-based products. Because these products are delivered over the internet, you have on-demand access to the compute, storage, network, database, and other IT resources that you might need for your projects and the tools to manage them. You can simultaneously or immediately provision and launch AWS resources. The resources are ready for you to use in minutes. AWS offers flexibility. Your AWS environment can be reconfigured and updated on demand, scaled up or down automatically to meet usage patterns and optimize spending or shut down temporarily or permanently. The billing for AWS services becomes an operational expense instead of a capital expense. AWS services are designed to work together to support virtually any type of applications or workload. Think of these services like building blocks which you can assemble quickly to build sophisticated, scalable solutions and then adjust them as your needs change. AWS services falls under different categories, and each category contains one or more services. You can select the services that you want from these different categories to build your solutions. For example, you're building a database application. Your customers might be sending data to your Amazon EC2, which is a service in the compute category. These EC2 servers batch the data in 1 minute, increase or increment, and add an object per customers to Amazon S3 or the AWS storage service you have chosen to use. You can then use a non-relational database like Amazon DynamoDB to power your application. For example, to build an index so that you can find all the objects for a given customers that were collected over a certain period. You might decide to run these services inside an Amazon VPC, which is a service in the networking category. The purpose of this simple example is to illustrate that you can select web services from different categories and use them together to build a solution, in this case a database applications. Of course, the solutions you build can be quite complex. Choosing a service. The service you select depends on your business goals and technology requirements. In the example you just looked at, the solutions made use of Amazon EC2 as the compute service. However, that is the only one of many compute services that AWS offers. Here are some other AWS compute offerings that you might choose to use for the following use cases. You want complete control over your AWS compute resources. Here you might want to use Amazon EC2. You want to run your code and not manage or provision servers. You might want to use AWS Lambda. You want a service that deploys, manages, and scales your web applications for you. You might want to use AWS Elastic Beanstalk. You need a lightweight cloud platform for a simple web application. You might want to use Amazon Light Sail. You need to run hundreds of thousands of batch workloads. You might want to use AWS Batch. You want to run AWS infrastructure in your on-premises data center. You might want to use AWS Outposts. You want to implement a containers or microservices architecture. You might want to use AWS Fargate, Amazon EKS, and Amazon ECS. So these are the containers or microservices architecture in AWS Cloud. You have an on-premises server virtualization platform that you want to migrate to AWS. You might want to use VMware Cloud on AWS. Next, there are 3 ways to interact with AWS. The first one we have here is the AWS Management Console. The second one is the AWS CLI or the command line interface. The third one is the Software Development Kits or the SDKs. For AWS Management Console, it is easy to use and it is a graphical user interface. So by just a few clicks, you can run or deploy your first project in AWS. In a command line interface or AWS CLI, you can access to services by discrete command. And the last, we have the SDKs. You can access services in your code from your access services directly from your code, such as Java, Python, and others, and other programming languages. So, key takeaways from this section of the module include AWS is a secure cloud platform that offers a broad set of global cloud-based products called services that are designed to work together. There are many categories of AWS services, and each category has many services to choose from. Choose a service based on your business goals and technology requirements. There are 3 ways to interact with AWS services, and that is AWS Management Console, AWS CLI, and last is the SDKs or the Software Development Kits. So get ready for the section 4. We have moving to the AWS Cloud, the AWS Cloud Adoption Framework or the AWS CAF. Thanks for watching and see you there. Thank you.